A seasonal contest pits two competitors in a fight to the finish. But nature interrupts their competitive bloodlust with a terrifying surprise of her own. Fueled by whimsical memories of youthful vigor and black box pharmaceuticals, Roth protects himself and his work with hate, the good kind, and high-powered firearms. His adversary, Lucifer, brings little more to the contest than a spade and dismissive, self-righteous contempt. Residents from several neighborhoods gather. A pharmacist is belittled. An old man's sanity is questioned. Somali immigrants celebrate. A Seminole family's revelation is revealed. And a bloody contest none could have predicted nor seen in their most deranged nightmares unfolds. The neighborhood, nay, the country, will never be the same. Taking slow, deep breaths, Roth fought to master himself. He hated Lucifer with a passion he had for years, yet the appearance of the groundhogs last summer had exacerbated the rivalry, which, in truth, was born of a competition between thumbs. Green thumbs, that is. Each had endeavored to best the other year after year, and as the arms race, the boughs race continued, so rose the stakes. Roth observed that Lucifer, perched in an Adirondack chair on his porch, watched the unpacking procession with a dismay that bordered on horror as Roth extracted a bandolier from the trunk. He knew Lucifer was a gunophobe, that he had worked tirelessly while in Washington to support the passage of legislation that would disarm victims. Who else can be disarmed but the people who obey the law? Relishing every moment of discomfort he was causing Lucifer, Roth slowly wrapped the bandolier around his chest, making sure the grinning magazines caught the light of the frowning sun. Then, as slowly as he could, he withdrew his shiny tool from the Jag's curvaceous trunk, savoring every inch, watching Lucifer's face darkened with desperation as the glistening shaft grew longer and longer, and yes, longer. Slinging the semi-automatic AR-15 over his shoulder, Roth peeked under his overgrown brow at Lucifer, who was now on his feet, knobby knees knocking, pages from his newspaper languidly fluttering from his trembling hand. The sun had just gone down, and Roth was getting ready for bed when he heard a loud thunk in the back of his house, and then another, and then another, and maybe another, but really his hearing wasn't that good anymore. He quickly stumbled toward the back of his house, vehemently cussing the shouts of pain that sprang from every one of his crepitating joints. Losing his balance, he caromed off the hallway wall, loosing pitchers from their moorings like icicles cascading from a gable. Turning a bend, he bounced off an end table, sending a family heirloom crashing to the floor. "I never liked that side of the family," he grumbled, still hustling toward the ruckus. After slamming the banana clip into place with a great metallic click, Roth stuck the barrel of the gun through the window and opened fire. The bright muzzle flash lit up the whole backyard like a bright muzzle flash. In a nearby neighborhood, Somali immigrants cheered the discordant crackle of fully automatic gunfire, just like home. Unpublished reviews. Nothing can keep this magnificent story from becoming a #1 New York Times bestseller. Its author gave the paper's editor-in-chief an offer he couldn't refuse. New York Times. I laughed so hard, I wet my Huggies. Active, over 50. Beaux esprits won't nictitate while imbibing this Dionysian tale, but they may horripilate. The author must be immune to exorodespotism or azagophrenia to have poetized such a mordant tale. Abstruse, hippopotamonstro, sesquipedalian, quarterly. We knew the author would go far. We are so proud. Monthly newsletter, Eastern State Psychiatric Penitentiary. And we are rolling in, ladies and gentlemen. Can everybody hear me okay? That was a little video of some of the text inside, the story inside my novelette, It's a Comedy, Damn It, if you're interested. Start off with a few jokes before some more serious news here that we'll be talking about briefly while we are together. Now, you can get this little comedy book, It's a Comedy, Damn It, at NoWhiteGoCollectibles.com. You can also get it at Amazon. And maybe I'll update. I was thinking about doing a redux of that in the near future. We'll see. Very busy, but we'll see what we can make happen. I see Corey Bell. Great to see you. Big Promethean hails to you, brother. Muppet President. Hello to you. Great to see you. Franklin's with us. Says Richmond is an anti-white hell. I have some friends there. It is indeed. It's been that way for a very, very long time. Tripwire, Windex, Kent, Ezra Pound, Popcorn Power, Artificer, Heilig, Greek German American, Going Free member for life. There you go. The great Mrs. Jess Horst, Diamond Dust, and Kent, and bass guitarist. Great to see you all. Tyrone, the great Donning Armor, and Pants. Who else do we have here? Great to see you all. We should be up on all of the platforms. Nathaniel is here, and so is Yiz. Wonderful to see you all. And the great Roy Danton. Panzer, welcome to you. Budgie Burger, hello and welcome. And Azimuth Clark, wonderful to see you as well. If you all have any questions or comments while we are together today on this Roll-In Going Free, please let me know. I'm going to go through this article about this really shameful act of white erasure. And another, it's the kind of thing that, and I think it's important to talk about in a moment like this. It's the kind of thing that we should use if this to fire you, to move you forward, and nurture that flame. You want to wed the anger you have for the victimization, which white erasure in all its forms is a victimization of Western kind. You want to wed that anger that you have for that, and you should have anger for it, or there's something wrong with you. Quite frankly, you are a misfit if you do not get angry over something like this. Please do not fall into the anti-white trap of trying to defend the act and the word and the concept hate and hatred. Don't try to say hate is good, hate is natural, don't say any of that. You are angry. You are righteously angry. You are righteously indignant over white erasure, victimization of Western kind, Western civilization, all that we create. Those things that we built in the world, we need in the world for our health. That's why we put them there, for our spiritual health. And you need a healthy spirit to have a healthy body and mind. So take this sort of thing and allow it or use it to fuel you to go out, to speak with our brothers and sisters out there in the world, online, wherever you can reach them, and use the 5 key concepts in those conversations. Talk about white erasure and talk about anti-whiteism, because the words that we use determine the narrative that we are in. And we need to be in our own narrative if we are going to reclaim our destiny. It is that simple and also that complex. And I say that complex because you see so many people who have no idea. They just can't get it, no matter how many times they get presented with success. No matter how many times they get presented with the success that we have here in the practice of going free, they just don't get it. And in some of the most wonderful folks, eventually they come back again and again because they sense something, and then they finally realize, yeah, this is actually the way this works. I feel it in myself. I see it in myself. I see it in the world around me. I see the successes all over the regime. Magnificent Kevin is with us. Great to see you. And Promethean Healing is with us. Hello to you. Great to see you, brother. Yeah. All right. So, and then I have some testimonials to read as well. The great Four Null is here. Wonderful to see you. Hollander, great to see you, dear brother. We have all of the normal platforms we're up on right now. So if you want to comment, you want to ask questions, you want to financially gift, all of that is open and available for you to do so. And I will be keeping an eye on that. And I will definitely get to everybody's financial gifts if any are given. And otherwise, we're just going to get through the material we have here and roll out, because we have so much else to do in service to white well-being just today, as we do every day. So we have, this is over on Yahoo News. So almost as good as CNN, right? I think CNN would probably approve of Yahoo News, wouldn't they? Title is Black Lives Matter Chants Erupt as Robert E. Lee pulled off his pedestal in Richmond. Let me see if I can get rid of some of these ads. Jamie has typed out this garbage, I'm sure. This was just hours ago, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, wherever you are from, whatever part of the world, if you are a Westman, then this should hurt you as much as if it was your most prized general, your most prized painter, whoever it is from history of our people that you love dearly, and they mean so much to you. This should hurt you that much, as if that person their statue was removed, that they were white erased from the pages of your history, rewritten in there as some sort of monster. This is Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the state that I'm in the United States. I'm up toward the most northern part of the state, right outside of Washington, D.C. Richmond, Virginia is the capital of the state, several hours drive to the south of me. That capital was once the nation's capital for the Confederacy. That was when the southern states seceded from the United States and then defended their new country and failed to fight off the invader. And the peoples of the United States and the Confederate States, they were one. They were Western kind. And there was a period where some very evil people were in charge of the United States because of the kind of things. We know they were evil because of the kind of things that they did to human beings, people who were their very own flesh and blood. And as long as they lived in the South. Southerners gave us a bit of a path to follow. Why is it today that despite all of the anti-white narrative, the endless anti-white programming, mental conditioning, why is it that there is still something called a Southerner that doesn't absolutely hate him or herself? Well, it's because even though the United States had conquered the Confederate States and then imposed its will, imposed its narrative, Southerners maintained their own story. Not anymore. Well, we're just living on the echo of much better Southerners than Southerners today. But they lived their own story, and they built statues. They got together and they funded these things, and they had they built museums, and they wrote poetry and songs. They did this to preserve their identity, even though they had been defeated. Why did the South lose a second time? The same reason why we lost in South Africa. Because the anti-whites are waging a psychological war against us. And you cannot win against psychological warfare with traditional warfare tools. So you're not going to be able to get angry. You're just angry and act violently, or stock MREs or something like that and win. You need a psychological defense for the psychological warfare that's waged against us. You need these victories that are symbolic, that when you are opposed by a greater physical force, are victories that are larger and more significant and more meaningful than a physical victory, which is impossible. So this is sophisticated stuff. I don't expect everybody will be able to understand. We had, in fact, a question during PWR that we just wrapped up with from an individual asking whether or not people who are white sympathetic have been not white supremacist enough. I want to say that was some sort of saboteur anti-white, but we know that there are people who actually think that way. Not many. They're not the majority by far. Regrettably, somehow they get funding to be the heads of organizations and groups, but they're not the majority. They do mislead a lot of people. But we need the way to redress what happened today in Richmond is to speak the lexicon of our narrative to as many people as we possibly can, because that is the only way that the anti-whites and us will find ourselves standing face to face on a contentious ground, and there will be a moral imperative that will out the anti-white as a villain in the story, rather than somebody who's doing something good by victimizing the hell out of Western kind. So let me, White Rider is here. Great to see you. GBU, the great Jerome V is with us. Yes, Ghost Rider. Hello, Mike. Thank you all for showing up. This is the way that we are going to recapture our destiny. It's going to be you folks. So you're going to have to, in your lives, when it comes to the tools that work, put the pedal to the metal, because time is absolutely running out, and you can see it everywhere you look. And no sort of tantrum of violence or screaming, or this argument that some make, and I think I will address this maybe in a roll-in by itself. This argument that some, I think many make, that they're waiting for some sort of fall or some sort of collapse to make a political statement, is so inept that it is forehead slapping to the point of knocking oneself out. So let me just go ahead and get into this. There's a photograph, a terrible photograph of a crane with this wonderful statue of Robert E. Lee. I believe the horse was named Traveler, magnificent steed that was his during the war, and being craned away, being white erased. Yet again, it's something else. Let's see how this anti-white filth articulates what we see here. The huge statue of Robert E. Lee in Richmond, Virginia, and it was a huge statue, one of the biggest Confederate monuments in the country and one in the heart of the former capital of the Confederacy, has been removed from its pedestal. The 21-foot tall bronze statue of the they used the misnomer Civil War. It was the War for Southern Independence. Leader on horseback was lowered to the ground early Wednesday, 131 years after it was first erected. Photographs show a crane alongside the statue as workers begin its long-awaited dismantling before it was brought down to earth. I want to point out that the statues that are being white erased are statues of white people. The murals are murals of white people. The works, artistic, etc., are the works of white people. Robert E. Lee was a gentleman, a scholar, a soldier. The world knows this to be the case. He fought for his country, Virginia. He was given the opportunity by President Lincoln to be the head of the entire United States. I think there was going to be some role first for him in the United States military, and then he was going to be given charge of the entire United States. I think Army of the Potomac. Of course, check with CNN and some anti-white historians, because I know they'll have something for you to hear. And he said he couldn't fight against Virginia. And so he was, of course, he has set records at all of the schools he attended. West Point, I believe, was one of them, and continues records to stand, some of these records to this day, and respected all the way around the world. I believe you'll have to look into this for yourself as well, but I believe at the beginning of the war, the slaves that he held, he freed. And if you are curious about whether or not all Black people were in bondage in the South at the beginning of the War for Southern Independence, I will just point you to the very first battlefield of the War for Southern Independence, which was in Manassas, Virginia. And the United States refers to it as First Bull Run, Southerners as First Manassas. And it was fought on, in part, the property of a free Black family. Their home still stands in Manassas today. So you can look into that for yourself. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But this was the reason why this is getting taken down, white erased, is not because he was a Confederate general. It's not because he held slaves at one point when just about everybody, I think, of their class, of their wealth, had a slave or more. It's not because of the side he fought on. It's not because of decisions he made in his life. The reason he's being white erased is because he wasn't anti-white enough. In the anti-white narrative, he is a monster since he's not anti-white. And so that is why he is being white erased. The second part of that is that he is the avatar for all white people, living and dead, and just born and yet to be born, who are not anti-white enough. In other words, white people who do not want to victimize Western kind and white erase us from civilization. That is what he represents. He is you. He is your father. He is your mother. He is your children. He is that baby, white baby still in the womb, being removed from the narrative, being removed from reality. This is what happens when you dehumanize a people, and as has been done and is done with the anti-white narrative. You know, this was akin to what you see in the UK, where Mark was talking about today on PWR, the black woman from whatever African country that she was, I think, born in, the article said, and now she is Mrs. UK, the crown winner, or whatever it is, England, Mrs. England or something, pageant winner. How can she be the pageant winner? Well, because there's no such thing as the English. There's no such thing as the British in the anti-white narrative. There's no such thing as white people. And this is part of that process of white erasure. Democrat Governor Ralph first announced plans for its removal in June 2020, days after the murder of George Floyd. So what does the murder of George Floyd represent here for anti-whites? An affront to the anti-white narrative, a rejection, a resistance to the anti-white narrative. That's what he ultimately represents. And the police officer who was convicted, again, another avatar for all of Western kind, for you. It didn't matter that he's anti-white. It didn't matter that he had an a non-white spouse. None of that mattered. You live, and therefore the anti-whites seek to victimize you. This was an opportunity to do so. Continuing, but the efforts were held up. So Ralph's efforts to get rid of, to white erase Robert E. Lee were held up by multiple legal challenges to the removal. Shortly before work began, Ralph reportedly said in a statement, "This is an important step in showing who we are and what we value as a Commonwealth." What is that, Ralph? That you are anti-white and you value anti-whiteism. You value white erasure. That's what it represents. Ralph really needs to be replaced by a non-white person. And so I call on Ralph Northam to step down immediately as governor of Virginia and turn his job over to a non-white person. He should white erase himself from our civilization. Move to maybe Ecuador. Go away. I'll point out also to all of those individuals over all the years whom I argued with, who thought the law would protect us, I'll point out to all of you that the law, once again, did not protect us. Please stop. I think you all are idiots now. If you can't come back and apologize for being wrong in those arguments, if you can't come back and say you are wrong, then you're no man. But I can't tell you how many arguments I've had with people who are lawyers or constitutionalists and the like, who have put faith in the fiction of law to protect us. This was told to me by, I can't even tell you how many people. This could never happen because of the laws. And I would say, man makes law, man can break law, man can rewrite law. And there you have it. Early Wednesday, this Wednesday, Ralph posted a live stream of the event. That's how much this bastard asshole wants to white erase. Posted a live stream of the event that showed crowds gathering to celebrate the statue's removal. Cheers erupted when the bronze sculpture was lifted into the sky, with members of the public shouting, "Black Lives Matter." And we'll get to that in a minute. So what did Black Lives Matter actually ever represent to an anti-white? What did it represent? Why is it that when white people, white history is being erased, that people chant Black Lives Matter? What are they celebrating? What is the goal? I'm asking a question. They also chanted, "Whose streets? Our streets." So they're chanting there, no more, this doesn't belong to you, white race, anymore. You built it, but it's not yours. You may have built those cities in South Africa, but they're not yours, white man. You may have built Richmond from nothing, but it's not yours anymore. It belongs to the anti-whites. Speaking next to the removed statue, Ralph said, "This has been a long time coming. It's part of a healing process for Virginia to move forward and embrace diversity." What does diversity mean? It's a mean pathogen that means fewer white people. Move forward and embrace, I'll translate, fewer white people. To be a welcoming state, to be inclusive. Inclusive is a mean pathogen. That means what? Fewer white people. And to let people know that our lights are on and our doors are open. So let's read that for what Ralph is really saying. This has been a long time coming. It's part of the healing process for Virginia to move forward and embrace fewer white people, to be a welcoming state, to have fewer white people, and to let people know that our lights are on and our doors are open. That's the actionable reality of what Ralph is saying. The governor added, Ralph added, I want to thank the city of Richmond, the people of Richmond, and the people all across the Commonwealth for doing the right thing, he says. White erasing white people, the right thing. After 402 years of this history, we should not be proud of. We have here, I don't know who this somebody is tweeting. He has a blue check mark on Twitter. Looks like maybe, is he like some sort of gangster rapper? I don't know. He says, now crowd chanting, hey, 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 goodbye, as officials remove the Robert E. Lee Monument in Virginia, the country's largest Confederate statue. A spokeswoman for the state's Department of General Services told the Associated Press that the statue will be I didn't read this beforehand. Dana, spokeswoman for the statue's Department of General Service, or the state's Department of General Services, told the Associated Press that the statue will be sliced into two pieces. They claim to make the removal job easier. Ralph has previously said that a public consultation will help decide future plans for the statue. So the statue is taken down by anti-whites and cut into pieces. And then he's going to ask that same group of anti-whites what to do with it. Last summer, the Lee statue became the focal point of, and here you have the anti-white slur, racial justice protest. So in other words, anti-whiteism, focal point of anti-whiteism, following Floyd's murder at the hands of Minneapolis police. The statue's pedestal, which remains covered in what this anti-white typist calls artwork. Now, it is anti-white filth spray painted on the pedestal, painted by, quote, racial justice protesters, painted by anti-whites, will remain in place for the time being. So how do you talk about this? What's the use of even bringing this up? It's white erasure. You're going to go to your friends and family and strangers. You're going to make leaflets. You're going to go into forums. You're going to write songs. You're going to write poetry. You're going to do whatever you can to use the lexicon and dialectics of going free so that our brothers and sisters out there will pick up that lexicon and will begin to change this narrative that we live in and make the anti-whites have to deal with our narrative in the future, like they don't have to today. Make them have to speak to, make people like Ralph have to answer to how anti-whiteism and white erasure is good. Let's let him try to explain that, why it's good to inflict injury on Western kind. So anti-white, anti-whiteism, anti-white narrative, Western kind, white erasure, those are the 5 key concepts at least that you have to use. Dig in to Go Free, and we're going to be, I'm working right now, as soon as I get done here, I'm going to be working on iteration 2. We're wrapping that up to get this, it's fantastic. To get this new information out to you all, more powerful concepts, more powerful MCs to you all that we will be able to use to recapture our destiny so that this sort of thing doesn't happen anymore, so that we can put an end to this. Because this is in effigy. They are cutting Robert E. Lee and Traveler into pieces in effigy of you. Now, we're talking about going free and what works in this world with the anti-whites and all their power. What actually defeats them? Let's take a look at some comments from people who have something to say about going free. This was on the message that on the video that I did about the vile lowlifes that unfortunately populate the sewers in the white sympathetic sphere, endlessly attacking yours truly and all of you who are going free. European Traditionalist wrote on that thread, "Thanks for sharing about this. I admire you, brother. Those who wish to cause discord we will leave them at the waste side. It's a long road, but the right road, brother. Stay strong and keep shining." Thank you so very much for that, brother. We will indeed. We're having success where they never had success. Yes, they look a lot more like a 1930s political party than we will ever, because we don't want to. So good for them. They're great LARPers. Lefty Expat 23 writes here, "You honor me by reading my comment." Thank you, Jason. "I finally bought the book when my employer required me to go through an anti-white training." That is anti-white obedience training, we like to call it. Thank you. "I figured I needed to build proper defense mechanisms or I would lose my mind. I'm very glad I did so because, as it turns out, Go Free is laid out in such a way that even those of us who work in super busy professions can readily apply it. It was perfect timing. I had the distinct pleasure of speaking all the MCs I could during the small group discussion. Then there are the conversations I continue to have with my colleagues and friends, where I get enthusiastic support every time I employ the practice. I plugged the No White Guilt channel specifically in detail to a few people so far. One of those went on a whole rant about the absurd white bashing people in his field that he is seeing everywhere. I used the word anti-white once, and he started telling me all about the anti-white narrative in the language of a vague. For a lot of people, the practice, the lexicon, the key concepts are like learning by recollection. The spirit of going free is already in so many people's hearts. We just need to give them the words." Thank you, brother. Buddy Duddyful writes here, "The Going Free community is at the forefront of capturing our destiny. We are genuinely leading the way for white well-being. An example of this I discovered while listening to a conversation between Jared Taylor and Greg Johnson. Albeit informative and stimulating, they spent most of the conversation inside the anti-white narrative, pointing out all the double standards and hypocrisy of the left, liberals, and the woke. After listening for a while, it occurred to me the difference between our community and the rest of the white sympathetic sphere is we are telling our story." God bless you, brother. Thank you so very much for that magnificent testimonial to the distinction. All of these sides, of course, what Jared Taylor, what Greg Johnson, they're all doing, doom documenting and doom dissecting. It needs to be done. There's a need for it. There's a place for it. And we don't try to deny these people the great work that they do in the way that they do their work. We object to the efforts that are put forward either by way of action, trying to shut us down, trying to prevent us from being the speaker at conferences and spreading the word of white well-being and the practice of going free, slandering and misrepresenting us. And we object to the silence that a lot of these people, doom documenters and doom dissectors, the silence that they have for us and the success that we're having. It makes no sense. So I'll just read. I could say more, but we're short on time. Sterling Price writes here, "I love my people, and I love fighting to help free them from the white guilt and anti-whiteism that pervades every nook and cranny of the Western world. I have devoted my time and energy, my heart and soul, to trying to use the principles outlined here." God bless you so much, Sterling Price. We really appreciate you. You're a true champion. Franklin Peanut writes, Hey, Jason, excellent stream. Also, I'm Franklin Peanut now, in case any other Franklins come along. The lexicon is working very well for the outreach I've been doing. For the CRT videos, I've noticed that people push back the least on my saying anti-white when I use it in conjunction with other words. I need to put together a small video screenshot compilation of the successes I'm having when I have more time. Thousands of new people are seeing the terminology each week. Thank you so very much. Promethean hails to you. I know you're going to do amazing things. You're already doing amazing things in service to white well-being, and I know that you will continue. Thousands of people, just think about this, and they will all be able to pick it up. Just imagine if everybody you talk to, you could communicate one or more of the 5 key concepts at a minimum to, and then they would be able to pass that along to everybody they speak to and so forth. How quickly would we begin to change the atmosphere, the environment, the milieu in which we contend for the recapture of our destiny? Alex Wood writes here, final comment for today, folks. Can you imagine the overwhelming support any other race would receive for this sort of channel? He's talking about my channel, No White Guilt. He goes on, it's a shame, especially when the majority of criticism is from middle-class whites anyway. Traitors. Well, precisely. Traitors indeed. And thank you so very much. I'm going to take a quick look at what you all, if you all have anything here, and then we are going to roll out. The Great Sloths is here, ladies and gentlemen, financially gifting $10. Thank you, brother. And he writes, the premise behind this white erasure is the presence of heresy to anti-whiteism. Precisely. There has not been a day in your life that you and every white person have not been considered a heretic to anti-whiteism, including today. Very well written, Sloths. Consider the past 5 or more centuries of your heritage gone. Yeah, they're going to be white erasing all of it. And you're absolutely right. If you're white, you have not been anti-white enough. And even if you are a rabid anti-white white person out there, your day is coming. Your number is going to be called when even you will not have been anti-white enough, because you will have to have been anti-white enough for all time, and that means all time to come. And if we don't recapture our destiny, all time to come, anti-white and all time to come will mean suicide and even genocidal suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, get your raucous emojis together for the number 1 financial gifter here today, Halder, financially gifting $50. God bless you. And saying everything he wants to say. A big Promethean hails to you, good brother. $50. And I believe your YouTube channel is under the same name, HALINDIR, folks. Make sure you subscribe over there. Fantastic music, a true champion. Promethean hails, $50. And thank you all for the raucous emojis for Haldir and his contributions to white well-being. We have 2 from the great Yiz the Eunuch. The first one, $3 financial gift. Thank you, sister. I got so angry over this story, she writes. I made a meme for it. It's a combination of today's news and an old meme of mine. Safe to share on stream, she says. All right. Well, we will pull that up and we will take a look. Uh-oh. Well, maybe I had the wrong one. She says, I don't know why, but that last link is dead already. I had to post it again. All right. And she did that with another $3 financial gift. So thank you so very much for that, sister. Is this one whole picture? Are they side by side? I wonder how I can share this on this. Maybe I can. We'll try this and that. We'll see here. I think that's it. Yes. Today, and you can see here, it's the statue. You see the pedestal defiled with anti-white vitriol scribbled all over it by the anti-white roaches that clung to and climbed around that pedestal. And then she has tomorrow here. Legends speak of the whites or white men, a people whose magic structures could leave the earth. However, most believe they never existed. Isn't that is something that, yeah, we stay within the anti-white narrative, and that's coming for us. Bless you, Yiz, and all of the hard work that you do in service to white well-being. You are indeed one of our best. And then we have, folks, another, get your raucous emojis rolling loud again. Thank God they're already out, because no white guilt clips, just financially gifted $50 US. $50 US. God bless you. Said everything you wanted to say with that $50 as well. Big Promethean hails to No White Guilt Clips, a true champion in service to white well-being. Folks, I want you to take what I've shared with you today, what we share on the streams, what we share on the gatherings, what we share on tap, which we'll be letting you know very soon when the tap will be this week and who will have as a guest, me and the great Mr. Jared George. I want you to take this information, and I want you to take the anger that you feel, the righteous rage that you feel for white erasure that's taking place. Pair that with your love. Use this information to fuel that, and take this lexicon and the dialectic and get out there into the world. For God's sake, please stop, like with this middle class twit who was asking, shouldn't white sympathetic people be more of the antagonist in the anti-white story? Please stop this debate. We are running out of time. While that's happening, just a couple hours to my south, in the capital of my state, which used to be the capital of the Confederate States of America, just right down the road from me at the DC Expo Center, they have brought in thousands of people with different biospirits. I'm sure they're all wonderful, but they're going to have to replace people in jobs. They're going to have a numerical courage and further transform this once great state to be something completely white erased. We don't have time to continue to debate whether playing the antagonist is the way to go, or using these tools that are yet legal, are yet moral, or you can go out in the world and you can make a change. And the anti-whites, they muzzle the hell out of me. They shadow ban us. They shut us down. So we need everybody to kick it into high gear and make this happen as best they can, because they can't stop all of us. I said in that video where I was making fun of myself, showing the problems I was having with getting the camera level and the stand level and everything, making the introductory video for the channel for this year 2021. I said, and put up on the screen at the end of it, I wrote something like, none of us walk on water, but together we can walk through fire. I absolutely mean that. And that is the only hope we have. Let me take a quick look over here and make sure we have one financial gift from Kaber. Let's get a round of raucous emojis for Kaber, who financially gifted $25 US. Thank you so much. He writes, for you, brother. Well, thank you so very much. Thank you for the financial gift. And I will take a quick look at the question widget. Let's see. Joe says, Greek friend from New York. He has a Greek friend in New York. He said he did feel persecuted at some point in life, especially when there were many non-white anti-whites. Yeah, absolutely. We're persecuted all the time. It's legal in the anti-white narrative, and it is moral to persecute us. So thank you for sharing with us the persecution that he has endured. Let's see. We also have Muppet asking, was the misnomer Civil War a brothers' war? Yes, it was. White men were fighting white men. Over 600,000 died absolutely, and of course, many of them are going to be the cream of the crop. So it was absolutely atrocious. Heroes on both sides, and we need to make sure that that sort of thing never happens again. And the only way we can make sure that happens, this is something I've argued for so long. We've been saying no more brothers wars for a very long time. And I would tell people, that's pretty damn hollow unless you have a path to it. A hope is not a plan. A wish is not a plan. The only way we can have a path to no more brothers wars is if we implement a morality that says that it is immoral for that to take place. That means we need our own story. We need our own narrative. Brandon, you and one of my brothers look exactly alike. He says it's strange because his brother is anti-white. Well, my doppelganger is out there then somewhere, folks. He's a very handsome fellow, but he's anti-white, so it makes him ugly, ugly, ugly. Then we have Cockney Nutjob, financially gifting $10. Thank you so very much, brother. $10 financial gift over here on Entropy. He says a bronze statue of, I'm not sure who this is, still stands proud in Nigeria. This was a black slave owner. And, well, then I'm glad I did not say that name, actually, or attempt to say it, because the ear is always against the door. So nothing against you, Mr. Nutjob, but we know the ear is always against the door. He says that this was a black slave owner, though, and a politician who was angry with the British when they stopped the slave trade. Her answer to the situation was, quote, I would rather drown my, I'm not going to say what comes next, than set them free. Well, that is a really obviously despicable statement, monstrous thing. And of course, that's what he's demonstrating here with this financial gift and the statement, is that in this country, in Nigeria, he's claiming that there is this statue to a woman who was a slave owner. She was non-white, and I presume all of her slaves were also non-white. And she said that she would rather do something horrible to them than free them. And of course, the slave trade is something that was practiced by all races. Every race has been enslaved by every single other race of people. And there is one race who put an end to slavery. So you're welcome. And with that, I think we will refresh this one more time. I'll take a look over here. And see what's being said on the live chat. A big hello to everybody on D Live. I see Jim over there, and Jilly is over there, and Max. And there's Mr. Nutjob is over there as well. Great to see you all. Hello, hello, and welcome. And looks like we have no new comments over there, but we do have some watching on Odysee. So a big hello to everybody over there as well. We are refreshed here, so I'm not missing anybody's outsider artist. Welcome. Great to see you. Austin is with us, 316. Wonderful to see you, brother. Bain is here. Hello and welcome. Nancy Drew. Hello, sister. Welcome to you. And we will slide through this gathering of champions, gathering of heroes who have arrived. It is your fate to be here, ladies and gentlemen. You are selected. You were selected. Your life is important. You were selected to receive the tools to change the world for white well-being, to recapture our destiny, to put an end to the destruction of Western civilization. I'm going to ask you all, Flyboy is here. Hello to you. Streaky Bacon, welcome, welcome. Harbinger, welcome to you. Chrissy is here. Ragnar is here. Yes, we got your meme. Thank you for that. Jeff is here. Hello. And Joe, I think I might have mentioned you. Hello to you again. Hey, the great Andre is here. He says, Godspeed. I hasten myself to finish my current project, and then we'll begin work on the Promethean Symphony. Isn't that glorious, folks? Isn't that magnificent? We have, as you all know, I'm beginning the work, I guess I should say this is the beginning work on the audiobook of Prometheus Rising, which I hope we'll with the help of you all, will do a great bit of good for our people in the recapture of our destiny. And Andre is definitely going to be one of those true champions who has of his own volition, because the biospirit of the West, the voice of the West, is moving inside of him as it moves inside of so many of you. And that's why you have come and stayed, and you continue down this path rather than so many other paths. Certainly the paths of white flight that so many of our people take. Now is the day for heroes. And there is a clarion note of silver trumpets that is calling to the heroes. And they'll be the only ones that can hear it. The others will just continue in their bovine produce and consume way. And then the world will change all around them. And then they'll come to tell their children the fairy tales of how all of you came to put an end to what was burning the world down all around us. Thank you so much, Andre. Really looking forward to that. The great dear lady Carlisle Cockatoo is with us. Hello, sweet sister. Welcome to you. And let's see. Thank you all who broke out the emojis, for those who deserved them. Roy Danton says, I read about it on Telegram just before I had to tear down an old garden shed to replace it with a new and better one. Hit extra hard with the hammer. I bet, brother. I bet. Yep, Robert E. Lee, proud Virginian like myself. He actually lived right down the road. They turned his home into Arlington Cemetery. The United States did. Yonash is here. Great to see you, brother. Looking forward to you doing many great things moving forward as well. Jay Link says, looking up the sky grunting, trying to describe a race of white men that once held magic. Yeah, from the meme. Let's see, there's the great Fornull again, a man that is tireless. Diamond Dust says, that's your evil twin. Yeah, I guess so. Joe says, he's married to a woman of German ancestry, talking about his friend. He wanted to know if it's considered white erasure. No. The biospirit of the West is what defines us as a people. So where you see that projected and created, that's how you know you're dealing with Western kind, as opposed to the other wonderful peoples on planet Earth. Now, having said that, there are people who are going to want to, and we want this, generally speaking, to preserve and even multiply the variety of our forms. We have the most varied people, although CNN might contradict me, and if they do, then please go with CNN's analysis. But we have great variety, and we want all of that variety to be preserved as well. So when we recapture our destiny, we will ensure that all of that variety survives, and in fact, that we tease out elements that we have never seen before, perhaps. So looking forward to that. Base Red Pill says, can you get Nick Fuentes on the show? I'd have him on. If you know him, ask him. Ask him if he would like to come on. I know I think he's had a lot of issues with some folks around him, maybe, and maybe not being loyal to him and this sort of thing. But if he would come on, I'd happily have him on the show. And if he asks me to go on his program, we both are clearly, honestly, concerned with Western kind. I don't know if he'll would want to call it Western kind, since I coined that or put it into use, or however you want to look at it. But we're both clearly, honestly concerned with our people and the creations of our people. So the United States being one of them. He does not, from what I've seen or heard, he does not endorse, support, or push for something that I believe would undermine us. So I have no problem working with him for our people, for our country. And if he's interested in that, then I have him reach out. I have no idea how to reach him. He has a colossal fan base, and the bigger your fan base gets, the harder it probably is to reach you. Let's see, what else do we have here? Roy says, what coincidence that I listened to your branch cutting story just prior to taking off the roof of that old shed made me extra cautious not to hurt myself. Yes, please be careful, folks, while you're working in the yard. I swear it went under the brim of my hard hat, pulled my protective eyewear down, and then grazed my left eyelid with enough force to take off the first layer of skin, about 35-pound limb. So that's a little too close, of a shave. And okay, so we're still blank over there. Franklin says, Fuentes says Jason is a stand-up guy, but said he didn't like the format of the show. Well, I appreciate his opinion of me. I agree. I concur. But when it comes to the format of the show, people have different druthers. And so that I used to say different handguns for different hands back in the day when I would talk about the right of self-defense. So people have different likes, different dislikes. That's understandable. But since I don't think there's anything that we, in service to white well-being, that he could look at and say, oh no, this somehow would is countervailing to what he cares about. I can't imagine a single thing. So really no reason why we wouldn't be able to appear and work together. All right, let me quickly check over here. And yep, we're blank over here. So folks, again, please get out there, use the lexicon. This is not for the heck of it that we talk about this. It's not just another way to talk about me coming on. It's not just somebody else you can get some doom documenting from. You have got to actually engage in the practice if you want to see the changes in the world. And this goes doubly so for our artists. There is far more that you as an artist can tap into if you treat yourself for the infectious ideas. Just as your body could be diseased and you wouldn't be able to work as much or run as fast or whatever it might be, your mind being diseased is going to prevent you from accessing your greatest potential, especially as an artist, because you have to tap into that spirit, something really special about mankind. So please do go free, engage in the practice of go free. Please, if nothing else, share the lexicon so that the 5 key concepts, so that we can begin to change the world. And having done that, we will be in a position to reclaim that destiny. You know I love you all, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you all on tap, and we'll let everybody know it's going to be a magnificent show. Why? Because we will be there. We will be going free. Roll out.